Good evening, all the joinees. Hi, this is Ansu. I welcome you all to NGEN Markets webinar. We will be beginning shortly. By the time the others join in, let's have a look at today's topic. So today in our webinar, we will be focusing on the holding analysis of mutual funds. We would be looking at the trends of investments that has been made by this mutual funds on a sector level, as well as we will be looking at individual funds, the asset allocation and the holding analysis of individual mutual funds as well. Next, we would be looking at the daily NAV reports, the dynamic daily NAV reports that gets downloaded from the platform in an Excel format. Finally, we would be talking about the new releases that has been happening on NGEN Markets platform. And finally, the forum would be open for a Q&A session. If anyone has any query, they can type it in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask your queries. So let us begin. So this is our NGEN Markets platform. The landing page is the Markets tab. For our topic related webinar, I move on to the funds section. In this funds section, we move to the holding analysis tab, which is the fourth tab. So right here, the first tab that you see is the sector changes tab. So this basically lets you know the trends, the month-on-month changes in each sector. That is basically the investments that are made by the mutual funds into these sectors on a month-on-month basis. So here in this second column, you see the name of sectors showing up: banks, IT software, pharmaceuticals, finance, and so on and so forth. And the first column that you see basically shows the month-end dates. So the latest date would be visible at the extreme right-hand side, which is 31st Jan 2024. So as and when these data are published by the AMC, these gets updated onto our platform, and our update cycle runs from 8th to 13th of the month. In the second column, you see the number of funds that are under consideration has been mentioned. Now, if I go to 31st Jan, you see a total of 709 has been mentioned. So this is basically 709 equity class mutual funds. Now, how do I determine that these are equity mutual funds? That is mentioned right here. You can see check funds with asset classes, and as of now, equity has been selected. Now you see a drop down. I'll just click on this and you can see in the name of other asset class like debt, hybrid, solution oriented, and others. Since equity has been created, as of now, our universe consists a total of 709 equity funds. Now, if you just want to know what all comes under this equity asset class, I'll just move on to this screener section. In this filter category option, you see 4 buckets show up. So these are basically the asset class, and currently we were viewing this equity as an asset class. So all the subcategories that come under this equity asset class would be shown here in this holding analysis tab. Now this structure, what we see right here, is basically a heat map structure. And here you see a color coordination of pink and green. So green basically tells that in comparison to the previous month, there has been an increase in terms of the allocation in that specific sector, while pink lets you know that in comparison to the previous month, there has been a decrease in terms of allocation in that specific sector. Now, let us just change this asset class and let us select hybrid as an asset class. So here you see the number of funds that are under consideration is 167 hybrid class funds. Now, if I focus on banks as a sector, and as of 31st Jan, if I look at it, you see a percent, which is 14.14% has been mentioned. So this basically means that 14.14% of AUM of all the hybrid mutual funds have invested in banks as a sector. Now you want to know which all mutual funds, which all hybrid mutual funds have invested in this sector. I'll just click on this 14.14%. And you see a list of hybrid mutual funds show up. You see a total of 162 funds have invested in banks as a sector, and a greater amount of investment, the maximum amount of investment comes from LIC-MF Balanced Advantage Fund. And now if you want to see the least amount of investment, I'll just click on this percentage and it gets sorted in the ascending order. So you see Samco Dynamic Asset has the least allocation in banks as a sector, which is 1.16%, and the equivalent amount is mentioned in this amount column. Now, for example, I change this asset class to equity once again. And within this asset class, you can also do a one level drill down. What do I mean by that is right here, you see check funds with SEBI category. So I just click on this equity category and you see a list of equity categories show up. Out of this list, for example, I select flexi cap funds. So as of now, we are focusing on 38 flexi cap funds only. So our universe, which was at 709 when you selected equity as an asset class only, has gotten reduced to a total of 38 flexi cap funds under this category. Now, again, the analysis remains exactly the same. If I focus on pharmaceuticals as a sector, you see 5.37 has been mentioned. So this basically means that 5.37% of AUM of all the flexi cap mutual funds have invested in pharmaceuticals as a sector. Now, if I want to know which all funds or which fund has made the highest investment in this sector, I'll just click on this 5.37%. So you see, Quant FlexiCap has a bullish trend in this specific sector, which is pharmaceutical. The amount percentage of investment is to an extent of 14.50, and the corresponding amount comes to a total of 514 crore. And the least amount of investment comes from 361 FlexiCap fund to an extent of 1.21%. Now you see a Excel icon right here, which basically lets you know that you can download this data in an Excel format as well. Now next, a similar level of drill down can also be seen on a stock level. So I just go onto this stock changes tab. Here as well, there is an option to select in the asset class. As of now, I have selected in equity as an asset class. And next option, you can see that there is a drop down which lets you select the type of stock. So for example, I want to see all the mid cap stocks and the trends of investments that has been made by equity mutual funds into mid cap stocks. So here, this is as well a heat map structure. The green shows an increase in investment in comparison to the previous month, while pink shows a decrease in investment in comparison to the previous month. And here as well, the data is available on a month-on-month basis. So if I focus on this stock, Suzlon Energy Limited, and if I locate for the latest month, which is 31st Jan 2024, this basically says that 2.27% of AUM of all the equity mutual funds have invested in Suzlon Energy as a stock. Now the process remains exactly the same. You just click on 2.27% and you can see in list of all the funds that have made investment in Suzlon Energy as a stock. A total of 43 funds have invested in this stock, and the highest investment comes from Kotak Nifty Small Cap 50 Index. Now, this data that you see can not only be seen in terms of percentage as well as amount, but also the shares that has been purchased. Now, if I sort this on the basis of shares, you can see the highest shares that has been brought for Suzlon Energy is by Invesco India Contra Fund. That data can also be viewed here. Now you can also toggle it right here in this sector stock changes section as well. Rather than clicking on this specific fund, specific percentage, you just click on this shares. So this lets you know that shares held in lakh for the specific stock that you see. Now there is another tab called as equity holding. So this tab is useful maybe if you have a specific name of a stock in your head. Rather than searching it from this list, you can type it right here in this equity holding sections. So this lets you type in the name of any of the stocks. So for example, I type in 197, which is basically Paytm. So there was a very negative news in terms of Paytm in the last 2 months. So you see, last 2 weeks a bit. So you see a total of 76 funds have invested in Paytm as a stock, and the total amount of investment comes to 3,391 crore. Now here you see there are 3 columns. The first 3 columns, the holding percentage, fund AUM, and the holdings in crore. So this holding percentage basically says the amount, the percentage that has been invested by this fund, which is UTI Innovation, into Paytm as a stock, which is 5.40% has been invested. Next, you see the fund AUM. So this is basically the total AUM of this fund. So UTI has an AUM of 614 crore. And the third column that you see is the holding. which shows 33.14 crore. So this is basically the amount that has been invested by UTI Innovation Fund into Paytm as a stock. Now, this is mainly calculated by multiplying the holding percentage into the fund's total AUM, which is 5.40 into 614. That is how you arrive at this holding amount. Next, you see 1 month, 6 month, and 1 year has been mentioned. So these are basically the returns of these respective funds that you see. So here, for example, if I look at just GM large cap fund, you can see it has been mentioned 6.36%. So a 1 month return for GM large cap is 6.36%. So these three columns, the returns are respective to the name of the funds that you see right here. Next, a similar level drill down can also be seen on debt holdings as well. You type in the name of any debt securities in this section. You can see in the percentage that has been invested into those debt securities, the fund's AUM, the fund's total AUM, and the amount that fund has invested into that debt securities. You can also see in the credit ratings right here. And as I mentioned, you just type in the name of any debt securities. You can see in their breakage as well. Now, this was on a sectoral level or on a stock level. Now, similar level drill down can also be done on an individual fund level. So for that, I have loaded in a single fund right here. Nippon India Multicap Fund is what I have loaded in a new tab. I go on to the asset allocation tab. And right here in the asset allocation tab, you can see in the overviews tab. So this basically shows you the exposure of this specific stock. So if you just look at this, HDFC Bank, Nippon India Multicap Fund has invested into HDFC Bank stock, and you can see the percentage of investment can be seen, 5.40. So you can see in the name of the stock as well as the exposures towards that specific stock. Next, we move on to the positions changes by month. So this lets you know that in comparison to the previous month, what all changes has been happened in terms of purchasing of any new stocks or selling of any new stocks. So right here, you see the latest date has been mentioned as 31st Jan 2024. So as of now, we are comparing it with the previous month, what all changes have been made in terms of stock as a categorization. So you see in this largest decrease, the entertainment, there has been a reduction in the percentage that has been held in Z Entertainment as a stock, mainly because there was a merger that was supposed to happen between Z and Sony, but it couldn't happen. And there was all negative news towards Z Entertainment. So there was a reduction in this stock to an extent of 1.33%. While if we just focus on the largest increase that has happened, so this stock, Nippon India Multicap Fund, has actually brought in the shares of 197, which is Paytm, to an extent of 0.46%. So you can see in which all stocks have been increased and which all stock percentage has been decreased. Next, you can also see in the new positions that has been added to the portfolio, as well as the positions that has been removed from the portfolio. So Kotak Mahindra Bank has been removed from this Nippon India Multicaps portfolio, which had an exposure of 1.09%. Now, this was on a month-on-month basis calculation in comparison to how the current month has performed with the previous month. A similar level drill down can also be seen in the positions over time, wherein it lets you know what has been the trend on a month-on-month basis for a time duration of 12 months. So this month-on-month drill down can be seen on an individual stock level as well as on a sectoral level. So there is a toggle button between this by securities as well as by sector. So as of now, I have selected by sectors. And if I just focus on banks as a sector, you see in comparison to the previous month, that is 31st December 2023, it was banks was having a percentage of 18.35, while in the month of 31st Jan 2024, it reduced to a total of 15.71%. So this is basically on a sectoral level. Now, if you view this on a security level, that is on a stock level, here there are two drill downs that you can see. So I just click on this drop down. You can see the changes in terms of stock in percentage as well as shares in lakhs. So this lets you know that if the shares have been sold or purchased, or the difference has occurred due to mark to market loss or gain. So for example, I click on shares in lakhs. So right here, if I locate Z Entertainment, what we had seen that it had reduced its percentage of investment in Z Entertainment. Now this has happened basically because it has sold off the shares in Z Entertainment. You see, as of 31st December 2023, it had a total of 179 lakhs shares of Z Entertainment. While as of 31st Jan 2024, the number of stocks that Nippon India Multicap had for Z Entertainment was 100 lakh only. So there has been a sell-off of shares. You can see right here. While if you just focus on Indian hotels just above Z Entertainment, you see the number of shares has remained the same for a time duration of maybe 6 months or more than 6 months. So basically, this says that the price of this stock has fluctuated and the shares has not been sold off. So that can be viewed from this drop down that you see. I go to the percentage and I locate Indian hotels. So right here you see as of 31st December 2023, it was 2.14 percentage. And as of 31st Jan 2024, it is 2.30 percentage. So you see there has been an increase in percentage, which has basically happened due to mark-to-market gains. So this basically lets you know that the price of this stock has increased and so the exposure has increased. While the number of stock remains exactly the same, which was 120 lakhs. Next, we move on to the concentration tab. So this tab lets you know the distribution in terms of large, mid, and small cap stocks. So right here, you can see it has an exposure towards the large cap stocks to an extent of 42%, towards small cap stocks to an extent of 32%, while mid cap stocks has an exposure towards 23%. Next, I go to the equity sector. So right here, you can see in the top 10 equity sector into which the fund has made investment. So clearly, you can see greatest level of investment comes towards banks as a sector. A total of 15.71% has been invested. Now, any of the bar graph, you just click on this bar graph, you can see the stocks in that specific sector into which investments have been made. So, for example, if I just click on hotels and restaurants as a sector, you see there are three stocks into which investments have been made: EIH, Indian Hotels Company, and Charlotte Hotels. And the percent of exposures can also be seen right next to the name of the stocks. Next, for example, if we have funds which have arbitrage positions or rather short positions, that level drill down can also be done on our platform. So for that, I loaded here Sundaram Equity Saving Funds, and I go on to the Asset Allocation tab. So right here, you can see in the short positions have also been mentioned. It has a total of 23 short positions. Now, if you want to quickly have a look at it, I'll just click on this show short. So you can see at a glance what all are the short positions that has been taken up by this fund. Now there is an option to remove these shorts and look at the gross equity percentage. So as of now, what you see is the net equity allocation, which is 38%. Now, if I just untick this apply button, you see the gross equity percentage has come to a total of 72. So the net equity is basically calculated by subtracting this gross figure, which is 72 minus this 33 that you see. That is how you arrive at the net equity position, which is 38.53%. So this can be done on a fund which has a short position as well. Next, I move on to the daily NAV reports that get downloaded onto our platform. As I mentioned, these are dynamic NAV reports. You just click on this Excel option. It gets downloaded on your laptop or your PC. So I'll just download this Excel button. So you see 4 buckets show up, which were basically the asset class buckets. And these are basically hyperlinks So you just click on any of the name of the category, and you can see in list of all the funds that come under that category. So I have clicked on credit risk funds, and all the 14 funds under credit risk as a category show up. So here you can see in the NAV is as of 15th Feb 2024, which is basically yesterday's date, has gotten uploaded. You can see in the average NAV for this category, the average total expense ratio to an extent of 1.56%, and the average AUM of credit risk as a category, which is 1,680 crore. Now, out of this, which specific fund has the highest AUM? That is HDFC Credit Risk Debt Fund. Now, there are two methods to get this NAV report downloaded. You just visit our platform. In this funds section, you move to the reports tab and you just click on this Excel button and it gets downloaded onto your platform. The next method is you just click on this plus icon and daily NAV reports would get downloaded on your registered mail ID. The mail ID that you see right here would get downloaded on your registered mail ID. Maybe the timing would be 9:30 to 10 a.m. Next topic is basically the new introduction, new features that has been done onto the platform, which is basically the AMC tab that you see. So here you can see in list of all the AMCs and you can sort this on the basis of asset class as well. So for example, I just want to focus on equity as an asset class. So I deselect all other asset class. So as of now, I'm just able to see equity asset class. Now, if I sort this on the basis of AUM, you see the highest AUM is with SBI AMC, which is 5,42,000 crore. And the funds that they have is a total of 36 in equity as an asset class. Now, if I sort this on the basis of NGEN fund score, you can see the highest fund score is with Parag Parikh Flexi Cap Mutual Fund, which shows 7%. Now this consists of basically two funds. So I'll show that in the screener tab in the fund section. In the screener tab, I go to the filter categories option. I select equity as an asset class. Then in this filter AMC option, I select Parag Parikh AMC. So right here, it basically has two funds. Parag Parikh has two funds in equity as an asset class, and an average of this NGEN fund score comes to a total of 7 that we had seen right here. Now, what does NGEN fund score stand for? I'll just load in a new fund. So I have loaded in Parag Parikh Flexi Cap in a new tab, and you see this black tile that shows up. I'll just click on this, and you see that it has a fund score of 9.26%. So our fund score basically ranges from 0 to 10. And more closer it is to 10, the better is the performance of that fund. And our rating comes on 3 criteria, wherein 10% weightage is given to the AUM of the fund, and the remaining weightage is given to short, medium, and long-term returns and volatility, as well as the age of the fund. So this short, medium, and long-term returns and volatility is basically the Sharpe ratio. And one another important consideration while keeping in mind this fund score is that these fund score are comparable intra-category only. That means you cannot compare the fund score of a flexi cap fund with that of a small cap fund. So here in this flexi cap as a category, you see Parag Parikh has gotten the highest fund score. Next release that has happened on the platform is basically in the compare section, wherein a new tab, which is calendar months, has been shown up. So right here, you can see in the month-on-month performance of the funds that you load in the compare main list. These are basically the absolute returns for these funds. And you can see this for a total of 24 calendar months. Now, this data can be downloaded in an Excel format as well. And you can also have a chart view for the same. So for example, if you just focus on Franklin India Prima Fund, it shows an average of 1.66%. So this is basically the average of all the monthly returns for a time duration of 24 calendar months. Next, you see the best performance, which basically you can just locate right here. As of July 2022, the fund, Franklin India, has given the best monthly return, which is 11.97%. As well as you can locate in the worst performance, which is negative 5.95%. So maybe that happened right here in the month of May 2022. It gave in the worst performance in this 24 calendar months. Next is vol, which is basically volatility. So anywhere on the platform you see vol, it does not stand for volume. It is actually the volatility. So this is the average volatility for this time duration of the last 24 calendar months. Next introduction is the Satino ratio and the value at risk in the compare section in the main list itself. So initially it was always available in an individual fund analysis. Satino ratio as well as the value at risk was available on individual fund analytics. But as of now, we have also introduced it in the compare section. And you can always sort this on the basis of large, it gets arranged in the ascending or on the descending order once you click on this column heading. So that is it for the topic related webinar. If anyone has any query, kindly unmute yourself or you can write down in the chat box.
Yeah, hi. Hello.
Hi, yes, please tell me.
Aranya.
Yes.
I think whatever you covered in terms of the stock changes and everything, uh,
Yes.
just wanted to understand if the particular date on which the relevant data is updated in that.
Sure. So so typically, as we discussed, the holdings analysis data, meaning the AMC holdings, that get updated on a monthly basis. So every month we have a cycle that runs between 8th to 13th of every month. So as of now, we are on 16th of February. So therefore, you can see the entire update for January 2024 as a month, right? So the moment we will enter between 8th to 13th of March next month, you will see an update as on the 29th of February. So every month this cycle runs and you will see the holdings data updated for all the AMC holdings. Other than that, if you are referring it to the NAVs, you will see the NAV data getting updated on a daily basis with, of course, some exceptions on, some AMCs. So what is happening is we are running the daily NAV reports every morning. The stats runs every morning at 4 a.m. as well as at 6 a.m. But there are some peculiar mutual funds like a Parag Parikh FlexiCap, like a SBI Contra, or for that matter, some other peculiar funds. The NAVs come in late typically, and therefore you will see one extra day lag in that, but otherwise it will be updated on a daily basis. Basically, previous day NAV, we are on 16th, you should be able to see 15th February NAV for major funds.
Right. And under this daily performance Excel sheet, there is a index funds category, right? Is it on the
sorry,
equity,
yes.
under equity, there's an index
Equity.
fund.
Yes, index funds, correct.
Fund, right? So your index funds as such is not a category, right? It is the index it's tracking, that should be the category, right? So is it a possibility for further drill down of the index fund to keep similar funds in a category rather than mixing everything into one? Because otherwise the data which is coming out is not comparable at all unless you further drill down on your own.
Hi. This issue has been raised recently as well. So we are looking into this right now. What happens is this comes as the SEBI category for all of these indices, and you're right that some of them are very different from others. What we are looking into is basically creating a kind of a separate category that we can update on our own. So in that way that we can actually put the similar kind of indices in a separate subcategory of So we're looking into a way of basically creating our own classification, because right now what you see in front of you, these are the kind of the SEBI classifications.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll hopefully have something for you soon. So we're looking into a way of creating an NGEN classification where we will also sort out some of the other problems, some of the other categories. I mean, even in debt index fund, it will make sense to have some actual categories in there rather than everything in one place.
Yeah, in terms of the duration, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hi, Arnab.
Yes.
This is Shishidhar from Hyderabad.
Hello. Hello,
Hi.
sir.
Yeah. As far as NAV is concerned, NAV updation is concerned, this SBI and Parag Parikh are giving it around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock every day, right?
Yeah, sir. So we have noticed this last 1 or 2 weeks. So
I think you should run one more update on 11 o'clock or so every day.
Yeah, sir. See, from our perspective, we can run updates every hour also. The only issue happens is, when you look at stats, like in the fund section, when you look at the screener, these returns that you see here, especially in the return column, they are calculated overnight. So what we are now looking at is basically around 10 o'clock, as you say, we will run another update of NAVs and we will rerun the statistics in the middle of the day also.
Yes, I think somewhere around 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock, we should put a cutoff time and then do it.
Exactly. So this, I mean, the chance of any issues is very, very small, but it might be that the point at which you're refreshing this data, that is the point the update is going in, and nothing will happen. But yeah, we will add another data update in the middle of the day to cater for this issue.
Yeah. Thanks.
No problem.
This is Veena here.
Hello.
So, I mean, I'm very new to using this. It's just been, I think, a few days since I opened NGEN.
Sure.
And apologies if my question is very basic, but I wanted to know, suppose if I want to monitor funds from 2, 3 different categories, like I want to take some from Flexi, I want to take one from small cap. Like my client has come to me, they have told me they have a certain goal within this many years, and I want to see what funds I can mix to get to the whatever goal that they have. Is there any place in NGEN where I can put it and monitor, like collect it and monitor or compare or whatever it is? Like, is there any place to do that?
Yes, absolutely. So what you would do is you would start by creating a list. So in this section where you'd filter the categories first. So what you could do is maybe select flexi cap, large cap, small cap, whatever you want. So in this way, what you're doing is you're looking across 4 categories now: flexi cap, mid cap, large cap, and larger mid cap. And you can apply some filters on the top. And once you've got your the funds and you select the funds on the left hand side. So as you can see, what Anshu is doing is she's clicking the little compare icon on the left of the fund, and these funds are all automatically getting added to the compare section, which is the next section, where this list is being formed, right? And once this list is formed for you with, across categories, that's fine. You can just name it something here and just click the save button. And once you do that, it will be saved under your login. So as soon as you save it, you'll see a list open up. So you can see all the compare lists that have been created. So this one we just created 30. So all you have to do is click on this list and it gets reloaded in here. And you can do all the analysis for all these tabs. They'll work on this list. So that's what our users do quite a lot. They have various different lists. They have a white list of large cap funds, a white list of small cap funds, a white list across categories. So you can maintain your lists over here.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Any other questions? Please let us know. Okay, if there's nothing else, we can close for today, Ansu.
Yes. Thank you all for joining in. You can anytime visit our YouTube page. There's a link right there on the platform. You can see in a dedicated playlist, all the webinars that have been uploaded can be seen in our YouTube page. A total of 100 videos have been uploaded as of now. Thank you for joining in. Hope we should see you again next week with a new topic. Thank you.